There will be no spoilers in this video. It will serve as a quick review and summary to see whether Andor is worth watching. Let's be honest, when it comes to Star Wars, since Disney took over, we've had a wave of content that's been, well, hit or mostly miss. But then came Andor, quietly released without lightsabers, Jedi, or even the Force. It's the Star Wars show that doesn't feel quite like Star Wars, and that's exactly why it might be the best one yet. So, is Andor worth watching? Let's break it down. First things first, Andor is not for everyone. If you're the kind of Star Wars fan who comes for space battles, colourful aliens, or Easter eggs every 5 minutes, Andor might feel slow. It's not aiming for the spectacle of The Mandalorian or the nostalgia of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Instead, it's a grounded political thriller set in the galaxy far, far away. Think Blade Runner meets The Bourne Identity with a dash of 1984 thrown in. So, who exactly is Andor actually for? Well, if you're into Star Wars but have been craving something more mature and character-driven, this is for you. If you love slow-burn sci-fi with moral complexity, real-world parallels, and thoughtful world-building, again, this is for you. And if you've never really cared about Star Wars, but you do appreciate phenomenal writing, subtle performances, and a serious tone, Andor is probably the most accessible entry into the franchise. In fact, even if you don't plan on watching any more Star Wars, it's worth it. So, where does Andor actually separate itself from the rest of the Disney-era Star Wars? It's created by Tony Gilroy, the writer behind Michael Clayton and The Bourne Identity, someone with no deep love or reverence for the Star Wars mythos, and yet that's exactly what makes his vision so refreshing. There's no chosen ones, no destiny, no Skywalkers. The best decision Tony ever made was refusing the pitch of this show being Andor and a droid going on buddy cop dramas. That being said, he constantly consults lore experts so that any hidden sprinkles of fan service that are in the show,
Galaxy Petitionists, they're lost. All of them lost.
Are done correctly. In other words, if you celebrate May the 4th, you won't be offended anywhere here. Andor asks, what does rebellion actually look like? Not from the viewpoint of Jedi heroes, but from everyday people under the boot of a fascist empire. The writing is razor sharp, the stakes are human and immediate, and the characters are messy, desperate, and complicated. We get to see how the Empire consolidates power through bureaucracy, surveillance, and fear, not just laser blasts and stormtroopers. We see what oppression looks like at the ground level, and we see how the rebellion many people fell in love with on the big screen was sparked, not by grand speeches, but by small acts of resistance and personal sacrifice. George Lucas has been quoted multiple times talking about how Star Wars was about the nobodies of the world fighting against fascism and dictatorship. Andor takes us back to this, but with an approach to writing and cinematography that brings it up to date with more modern dystopian content. This is a show that dares to slow down. Entire episodes are devoted to planning a heist or navigating the politics of an imperial office. It trusts the viewer to keep up, and more importantly, it treats its audience like adults. Visually, it's also a breath of fresh air. It uses real sets, practical effects, and location shooting. It looks lived in, like the original trilogy did, but with modern cinematography and a noir edge. No volume stages, no CGI overload. It's arguably the most visually and tonally consistent show Disney has put out since acquiring Star Wars. Now, that maturity and complexity does come at a cost. Andor is a slow burn. The first few episodes take their time setting up characters, locations, and themes. There's no hand-holding, no quippy dialogue to break the tension, and if you're someone who watches Star Wars for escapism, laser swords, or quick pacing, you might find yourself wondering when things are going to start. But this isn't a flaw, it's a creative choice. But still, it's worth noting Andor demands patience, it requires attention, and if you're coming straight from the popcorn fun of The Mandalorian, you may need to shift gears. Also, while the character work is excellent, this isn't an emotional roller coaster in the traditional sense. It's more cerebral, less sentimental, more espionage, less adventure. So, is Andor worth watching? Absolutely. If you know what you're signing up for. It's not just a good Star Wars show, it's, in my opinion, the best expression of Star Wars in a show format. One that explores themes of fascism, resistance, and personal responsibility with a level of nuance and sophistication we rarely get in the blockbuster franchises. If you're tired of Star Wars feeling like brand management instead of storytelling, Andor is a bold reminder of what this universe is capable of when placed in the hands of serious writers and directors. It won't be for everyone, but for the right viewer, it might just be the best thing Star Wars has done in decades.